Hello everyone! I finally finished repotting my plants, and today I want to share my observations about Hoyas. Let's start with specific varieties that amazed and pleased me during repotting. In total, I spent a couple of weeks working on repotting, mainly focusing on Hoyas and philodendrons. I wasn't just increasing the pot sizes for the growing plants, I also decided to switch most of my plants to a wick watering system. I'll provide more details about this towards the end of the video. Now, I'll show you the varieties I wanted to talk about, and then I'll go into more detail about wick watering, the conclusions I've reached, and the mistakes I've made even though some time has passed. I'll share the first results with you, but for now, let's talk about the varieties. This is Hoya glabra. I received it from my florist acquaintance in exchange for another variety. We often exchange different Hoyas, and she said she had such a beautiful variety. I rooted it and planted it. It started growing well. I hardly paid any attention to it. Maybe I showed it in my reviews at some point. But I certainly didn't examine it closely. When I repotted it, I placed it on a small support. It's also on a wick watering system. However, the water reservoir isn't very suitable for it because I didn't have a pot big enough for it. But that's not a problem. I found a solution. You can't see it when it's there. And when I took a closer look, I realized how beautiful it is. It has very large leaves, beautiful veins. There are splashes of color on the leaves. It's truly wonderful. The leaves aren't entirely dense. They aren't succulent, but it tolerates drying out well when I accidentally let it go through extended drought periods. It handles this with ease and is genuinely beautiful. This isn't the limit for leaf size. It has even larger leaf size. It has even larger leaves, so it's truly an outstanding variety in my opinion. Underrated. There's another large leaf there as well. In short, it's a beautiful plant. So, if you don't have it, I recommend paying attention to it. Maybe you'll fall in love with this beauty. It's not demanding at all. Not finicky. It grows and will delight you. You can place it in a shady spot in your room, even one that isn't very well lit, away from the window. It will look great. Such a beautiful variety. Now, let's move on to the next one. I had planned to show you this Hoya a bit earlier before I took cuttings, but it has already grown a new vine. In the end, I accidentally took not one but two upper cuttings, so it became a bit shorter. Anyway, this is Hoya Germany. Despite having lost a few leaves, it still looks beautiful. It's truly a wonderful Hoya. I'm very grateful it survived all the challenges of this winter, because we often had power outages, and the plants received very little light. It was tough for them, even though they aren't cacti and don't require very bright light, but when there was almost no light throughout the day, it was challenging. Maybe I'm exaggerating a bit, but sometimes they got only 5 hours of light per day. It was even less during emergency outages. So, these beautiful plants continue to grow and delight me. That's Hoya Germany for you. It's just beautiful. I now have a duplicate because I accidentally took more cuttings than I planned. Such leaves. A beauty. Simply a beauty. So, I continue the presentation. I also hardly noticed this Hoya. It was placed there under the lamp. There were many of them, all these Hoyas intertwined, and I couldn't see what was growing there and how they were growing. But when I paid attention to it, it turned out to be so charming and cute. It's Hoya Kenigiana albomarginata. It has dense and beautiful variegated leaves. Interestingly, sometimes variegation doesn't appear immediately but gradually. As seen here, it becomes more pronounced over time. It has grown, although it was very small and weak at the beginning, probably due to insufficient light. I mentioned that I lack sufficient lighting because I have low-power lamps. Ideally, I should upgrade the lighting, but not right now. In general, there was not enough light, but these varieties continued to grow and became beautiful. They are also on a wick watering system. Such a beautiful Hoya Canadiana albomarginata. In contrast, Hoya Canadiana nuggets grows much slower. This variety has variegation in the center of the leaf. It's growing very poorly for me. Perhaps it's a characteristic of the variety, or maybe I got a slow-growing cutting. In any case, it's growing, but very slowly. This variety is showing excellent results. That's it. I'll continue the presentation. Now, I'll show you this cute, very cute Hoya. I've already shown it in previous reviews. It's probably the smallest leafed Hoya variety I've ever seen. It has grown well. This is Hoya serpens. When I bought it, I didn't even realize how miniature it was. It has such cute, tiny, dense leaves. It's already trying to bloom. If it blooms, I'll show you what it looks like. The main thing is that it's growing trouble-free for me. The peculiarity of this Hoya is that it shouldn't be allowed to dry out too much. It should always be moist, not necessarily standing in water, but consistently moist, and it will grow better. It doesn't require very bright light, so it continues to grow well even in partial shade. It's a very lovely and beautiful Hoya. If it blooms, it will be interesting, but I prefer beautiful leaves. I've mentioned this several times. The beauty is in the leaves, while flowering is fleeting, and after that, you're left with only cleaning up. And now, the next Hoya. Glad that we've finally become friends. Finally! I'm really happy because for a long time I couldn't figure out how to care for it. I've already talked about this. I tried to grow it under artificial lighting, then attempted to provide it with bright lighting. No, initially it was on the windowsill, right? In the summer, when there was bright sunlight, then artificial bright lighting, it didn't do well. It had black spots on the undersides of the leaves, and I even considered giving up on this variety because it thrived beautifully in other homes, wherever I gifted or sold it, but it didn't work for me. Finally, the last attempt, I let it grow under artificial lighting, but at a considerable distance from the light source. As a result, it ended up growing almost in partial shade. Plus, I watered without letting the soil dry out, and finally, it started growing beautifully. Even the lack of light during the winter turned out to be in its favor. If you look closely, you can see that some leaves are curled. These are the leaves that were closer to the lamp. Those that were farther away are more evenly shaped, but they all grew. The ones closer to the lamp grew slightly larger. Such a beauty! Just fantastic! Now, I can definitely say that I like this variety. I used to think it was very finicky, but now it's gorgeous. Hoya brings joy. It grows. I hope it will continue to grow this way. A wonderful variety. Webergia, in my opinion, is an underrated variety. Many more expensive varieties don't look as stunning. This variety is old and widely available, but no less beautiful for it. Let's move on. Before you is a magnificent, fast-growing, trouble-free Hoya. This is Hoya Crescipetiolatata Splashed from Vietnam. I thought it was a small-leafed variety, but when, during repotting, I took it off the shelf and started examining it, I was pleasantly surprised. Here's a leaf that started growing. Such a leaf, and I thought this was already the limit for a small-leafed Hoya. A slightly larger leaf, and they keep getting larger and so beautiful. This is all the same plant. It's not a different variety or genetics. Perhaps these leaves grow first, and then, when everything is going well, these leaves appear. Wonderful! Fantastic! I adore this variety. The leaves are dense, watered after partial drying of the soil. It grows relatively quickly, and it's not finicky. Here's an old leaf. It's really old and nibbled. I don't touch it, don't remove it, and we have variegated leaves with splashes. So much has grown. It's so beautiful. It's just a charming Hoya. It delighted me with these large leaves. Oh, it's dirty on the pot. Such large leaves, and I'm zooming in again. Look at the leaf texture. Okay, one of my favorite Hoyas, or I can even say it's my absolute favorite because it shares my name. This is Hoya Irina. And of course, she always brings me joy. I simply adore this variety. Such a leaf. This leaf is unique, in my opinion, just amazing. And again, even this winter, she didn't stop growing, she continued. Here's new growth, and somewhere else here and here as well, new growth. A wonderful variety, very cool. Beautiful. I love it. So, I had to show her to you. Next time, I'll show you Hoyas that are similar to her. For example, Hoya Larissa Ipse 965 or Hoya Ipseshu 260. These are Hoyas that are similar to Hoya Irina. They were bred by the same breeder, and they share common ancestors. Well, someday. Later, I'll show you how they grow even more. Oh, it's such beauty. Gorgeous leaves. These are the Hoyas I wanted to show you today, which really delighted me with their beauty, growth rate, and ease of care. There you go. In general, they're fantastic. Very fantastic. Well, the others are great too. I have some Hoyas that, instead of growing leaves, keep trying to flower all the time. Like Hoya Rangsan, for example. It has 5 leaves and constantly produces flower spikes. It's quite something. It keeps flowering all the time. Now, as promised, a few words about the wick watering system. I decided to set up the wick watering system in such a way that it's not too powerful. It's like a thin thread and only at the bottom of the pot because Hoyas don't need constant moisture like violets, so some drying on top is still necessary. But to be safe, there should be water at the bottom. This method is the most convenient for me. The first time, I unexpectedly chose the wrong thread. Now I'll show you the thread I'm currently using. Give me a moment. It's this synthetic thread. I think it's meant for macrame. I bought it at a knitting store, but you can choose another one. The main thing is not to repeat my mistakes. Before you decide to use a wick watering system for your plants, check if this thread is suitable. It must be synthetic and able to absorb and pass water through itself. Do a small test. Take a piece of thread. How much do you need? I don't know. Let's say 15, 10, 20 centimeters. It doesn't matter. Take a piece of thread, soak it well in water for a couple of minutes, then leave one end in water and lift the other end. Spread it out and secure it somewhere higher, and observe for at least 4 or 5 hours, then just touch it. If only the lower end is wet and the rest remains dry, this thread probably won't work. I conducted such an experiment and realized that I initially chose the wrong thread. I chose a thread that seemed synthetic and contained many fibers. I switched some of my plants to this wick watering system on the shelf, set them up, but after a few days, I noticed that the plants were drying out very quickly, even though there was water in the containers. I lifted the plant, took it out of the glass, examined it, and realized that the thread wasn't absorbing water. It wasn't letting it through. In other words, only the lower part of the thread was wet and wasn't delivering water to the pot. I had to redo everything. Repot, changed the thread, another repot in short, traumatized the plant roots again. So, I advise you, if you're not 100% sure if such a thread will work, conduct a little experiment like this, and you'll know for sure and be able to use it. As I mentioned earlier, I'm currently using a thin thread, only at the bottom of the pot. On top, it's humid because I watered recently. I'll just water as usual. The excess water will drain into this container and then slowly be drawn back up. The best part is that now I'm not worried about water stagnating in the saucer after watering. It will still drain here and slowly be pulled back up. That's how I plan to do it. I don't know how it will all work out in reality. It's been about 2 weeks and everything is going fine so far. If something goes wrong, I'll tell you about my mistakes. But I think wick watering can be used in winter when the heating is on or in the summer when it's hot. Because during the shoulder seasons, when the heating is turned off and it's still cool outside, the apartment is also cool. Wick watering for plants can become risky. That's about it, because the roots shouldn't be sitting in water. In short, roughly like that. Let's see. Okay, I'll show you my lovely Hoyas once again. The beauty Hoya glabra. Gorgeous, large-leaved. So here we have Hoya Webergiae, sun-kissed Hoya Webergiae, Hoya Germany, Hoya Irina, and so on and so on. Well, that's it. Everything I wanted to tell and show today, I've already told and shown. Thanks to everyone for watching, for your comments, likes, questions, and advice. I wish you all the best. Goodbye. See you in the next video.